Welcome back everybody to the daily show where we discuss and do technical analysis on big mega cap stocks. So before we get started, please smash that like button, and 100 plus likes on this video would be greatly appreciated, guys. And if you're new here, consider subscribing. Now if you want to support the channel and get my daily trade ideas, my swing trade ideas, live trading, and all kinds of setups, definitely check out their link down below in the description for Patreon. And now let's get right into it, guys. On Meta, it's down 1.70%, so massive sell-off here on Meta. And you can see we actually cracked underneath 452. And soon as that happened, more selling down to 442. And then at the end, what happened? It was getting extremely oversold, trading under lower Bollinger Band, which is sitting at 449. We came back up and now holding this support 452. So it's been selling off for a few days, and I would not be surprised if they actually beat on earnings and this thing goes right back up. So do not try to go and short this, and I would say stay away until we see earnings, which is next week. Stay away from Meta, and then if you want to play it, you can play this going into next week after earnings. Now, next few days, and especially going into tomorrow's session, as long as 452, that's going to be your line in the sand, can hold right here, we might see a bounce. And tomorrow is Friday, so definitely we could see that all the way back up to 470. And once we get over 470, there will be resistance at negative sloping 5-day moving average 473.51 right here. And over that level, you will see more upside. We can go that far right now. Let's see if we can actually make it up to 470 first tomorrow. Now, this critical support gives up 452. Watch out for the lower Bollinger Band down here, 449, and underneath that level, we might go all the way down to this gap, which is at 400. And I know that is a long way down, but also I said that before, that if this thing breaks under 490 and then takes out 470, it can come down to 452. So you can see how quickly we actually made that move, and it could be really quick. We can make a move all the way down to 400. So right now, I mean, it's in no man's land. Definitely it's a falling knife. I do agree with that. But, shorting this also very risky game, especially with earnings. And even buying into it right now and holding long term, earnings just next week. So you want to hold on, and then you see, where this thing goes and how they actually digest earnings from Meta next week. And then you can play it, And right now, just before earnings, I mean, contracts are through the roof. IB is really high. And if you're buying these, you got to be really lucky. And unless you have like inside info and you know what the move is exactly, then you're going to make money on Meta. Otherwise, guys, I would say, don't, go and trade Meta right now. Wait until next week. Let the earnings come out. Let the stock and the investors digest this earning. And then you can play it maybe, after a day or two. On Tesla stock, it's up almost 2%, so a lot of people were shorting Tesla, and I saw a lot of things on X and even on my Patreon group, pretty much shorting into the hole right here on Tesla. And I keep saying that do not short Tesla near a big support. And this morning was unfortunate. I was definitely getting into Tesla this morning, but when I saw Tesla down 2% down here pre-market before opening, I thought this is it. I can get 220 calls and this thing would pay really nicely. Guess what, guys? Totally missed that move. I did play MU, that one paid over 100%, but totally missed this play right here because there was a lot of manipulation. This thing was already up just before opening, and then the market opened, and this thing took off from 217 all the way up to 226. It was gone, and now trading at 220. So going into tomorrow's session, definitely we do have this gap down here, and that should act as a strong support, 213. And if this thing can clear top of this two candles, which is at 226, we could see a move up to 235, 240, and then this gap, 245.63. Now, if this is actually a dead cat bounce, then early as tomorrow, we might see Tesla pulling back and closing this gap right here at 213.23. And here's my X account, and if you guys are on there, definitely give me a follow. And there's no subscription, nothing here on X. Is totally free, and you can always ask me a question if you have right here on X. And here's a fantastic play, and you guys will see that later on, also on Nvidia. MU, guys, this thing took a beating this morning. It was trading at 105, got into 110 calls. Tomorrow expiration, Friday, and what happened? Exploded within minutes. 100% profit delivered, and the runners went up to almost 200%. So this was a really nice setup, and this is the only one that I'm sharing. There were more trades that I actually took this morning, multiple trades, and all of them pretty much paid. And all these trade ideas are available on Patreon, and especially if you want to support the channel and you are serious about trading, then check my link down below in the description, guys. On Amazon, stock is down 0.5%. So Amazon, just like I said last night, careful under 180. This thing can jump. And look at what happened, guys. I mean, this thing was up pre-market, I think 2%. And look at just what happened here. Soon as we cracked under 180, I mean, that is a huge move from 184 almost down to 176. That is a big move here on Amazon. And now, I mean, it's barely trading at 180. We do have earnings coming out next week from Amazon, so that is going to be something to watch. But underneath 180, we might see another dump off down to 173. If this thing can retrace and reclaim 180 tomorrow, then watch out for a move back up to 182.55. This is where we got rejection, negative sloping 5-day moving average, and over that level, Amazon can go up to 185 and then 187.23 up to this 50 SMA on this daily time frame. Definitely before earnings, if you're playing this, you got to be really careful. And that is why it's always better to play after earnings and see what the earnings are. You can always find a nice opportunity even if they beat earnings and even if they don't. Both ways you can play it. And we do that a lot of time, especially on my Patreon group. A lot of the things that actually comes down a lot by the dip. If it goes up and then pulls back, consolidate, you can buy that dip also and still play that breakout to the upside. But something that is coming down that much, I would not go and short something like Amazon. On Google, stock is down 3%. So Google was another play today. I got in and I got out for pretty much, I think, break even here on Google. I got in here at 170 and some change. And then this stock actually went back up. 175 calls went in the money. But because I made good money on my long-term puts on Nvidia and especially on Triple Q, I just had to let it go. So, some people held in my group and they made money here on Google. And it was a really nice setup because this thing came down to 169 and then made a move back up to 175, which was huge. And then pretty much came right back. You can see there's a lot of selling here on Google and now cracked underneath 170. And now this gap comes into play, guys. The longer we stay below 170, slowly but surely, this thing can make a move all the way down here to this gap, 158. So going into tomorrow's session and next few sessions, Google getting oversold. So do not think about shorting this stock. Even if this stock wants to come down here, wait for a bounce like today. When this thing bounced back up to 175, you know that strong resistance at 176, you can short and then you can put a stop loss. Now, if you're shorting pretty much into the hole and you're thinking like, oh, this is the target and I'm going to short here, and then we get a big bounce back after this gap, guess what? All your puts are toasted. And I see a lot of these mistakes recently, just people are just buying and going all in. As a matter of fact, I got few messages this morning. I mean, just going all in. I mean, you never do that. You never go all in on anything. You always want to manage your risk. So shorting this thing, definitely not on the card. But if this thing bounces back up, makes a lower high somewhere here, 176, maybe even 177, maybe up to this gap, yeah, you can try that. Or even if you try today, you can hold your position right here on Google and possibly can see more continuation to the downside. So tomorrow, 170 breaks, you're going to see a retracement back up to lower Bollinger Band 173 and then 176. Under 170, like I said, this gap comes into play, which is going to be long way down. The next support 162 and then right down here, this gap, massive gap from this earnings right here, 158.28. On AMD, it's down over 4%, so AMD getting absolutely destroyed. And you can see this support actually held into closing 138 and pretty much getting extremely oversold. Now, this is where, and I've been talking about it, guys, that AMD definitely not looking bullish anymore until we reclaim and recapture 164, and that's not the case. I mean, you can see how these semis are selling off, just like the way these things just went up and people were chasing and buying calls on top. Now you can see how quickly things can come down. I mean, look at this. It's not, look at this right here, March, and we're in July, right? In March, almost 230, and now 130. So you almost got, I mean, I'm just rounding things up. It's not 130, but you got the point. I mean, almost gave away $100 right here within just 2 months, 3 months, right? 3-4 months. So that is how quickly things can turn. Same thing with buying. I mean, if you missed out on a dip, on a breakout, and then you try to go chase it, you should be buying when there is a breakout. You do not go and chase after the move is made all the way back up to brand new all-time high. So AMD definitely, I mean, if you're thinking about going long, definitely something worth looking at it. And if you're buying shares, definitely that is also a good opportunity. And looks like, I mean, there is a decent dip, especially considering this thing is down, 90 to $100 and might be going down a little bit more with earnings, right? So watch out for the support 138. And now if this thing actually gets a bounce, watch out for the resistance at 148, 153.80. Under 138, there is nothing here, and we might come all the way down to 125 on AMD. On Microsoft is down 2.45%, and for 2 days in a row now, trading under lower Bollinger Band. And if you're thinking about shorting this, well, good luck with that, because definitely this is not a time to short Microsoft. A big name like Microsoft can have a face ripper, and if this thing rips higher, it's going to rip your face off. So you don't want to short something like this, especially near a strong support. And when it's trading under $5 under, or actually $7 in this case, lower Bollinger Band, that is extremely oversold on a big name like Microsoft. So watch if this thing can actually get a bounce early as tomorrow, and that face ripper can come anytime here, guys. I mean, yes, we do get some sort of a sell-off here in July, end of July, and we got that. And we've been, talking about getting a sell-off and possibly, getting an opportunity to buy the dip. Now, lots of people, when they see selling, they just buy puts. They don't see it as an opportunity, like this could be an opportunity. We've been waiting to buy that dip, and then market rips higher, and now what? You're adding more and more. You shorted into the hole, and now you're adding more puts, losing more money. When time is right, when you see things are extremely overbought, we talked about it also in my video before that, some of these stocks are extremely overbought and can afford a pullback anytime. I don't know when that's going to happen, but whenever that happens, things can pull back rapidly. And you can see how rapidly that actually happened. I mean, it was near 470 and now 418. So that can happen. This breakout did not hold. 420 did not hold. And now the next support will be down here at 413. And below that, this gap comes into play, guys, 400. So be careful shorting this. And also, if you're catching this falling knife, at least buy some time. And you got to be very tactical buying these dips here on Microsoft. But also, I mean, risk to reward ratio here on Microsoft, definitely more to the upside than downside, because if this thing bounces back up and goes right back up to this gap, 443, that is huge. Now to the downside, it's already oversold. So, I mean, until we get some sort of a counter trend rally back up to the upside, I don't know when this thing is going to come down and close this gap at 400, right? So Microsoft, for tomorrow's session, now there will be resistance at 420, over that 424.81, and then we can talk about possibly going up to even 433 to 434 up to this high right here. Below 420, next support 413, and below that we could see more selling down to this gap just slightly under 400. So Netflix also going down, or staying pretty much flat on the day where we closed yesterday, and pretty much holding this support 630. We actually cracked below 630 today, came down to 621, and then we saw a bounce. I mean, it was a huge bounce back up to almost 650. So if you caught it at the right time near lower Bollinger Band, you absolutely got the best deal today here on Netflix. And I think the calls for tomorrow went up over 200 to 300% right here. So that is why you got to have this Bollinger Band on your chart. And when you see things like this, definitely you can take a chance and you can make lots of money off of that level. Now it's trading over 630. That's going to be a line in the sand, and below that, right down here, 624 to 625. And underneath that level, we also have support at 621, lower Bollinger Band, and then all the way down here at 604. Now Netflix can break and hold right here, guys. I would say 654. Then you're going to see a move up to 20-day moving average 661, 664, and then 680. On Apple, stock is down 0.5%, so we talked about it, and this is playing out exactly the way I said. What happened? We cracked below 220. This was supposed to be a higher low here, and then we go and take out this high. Did that actually happen? Well, absolutely not. We got this sell-off this morning. We went back up. It was getting oversold on shorter time frame, and you can see this 220 rejection today, guys. 220, now that's a big resistance, came back and now trading at 217. So here on Apple stock, the next big support will be down here, lower Bollinger Band and 50 SMA. That's going to be around 210 to 211, and we could be going there early as tomorrow. Now underneath that level, we have strong support, and we could be making a new low because technically we got this high, higher low, brand new all-time high, pulling back and not holding a higher low. We could be coming down and possibly will take down, this low down here. And if that's out, we definitely going down to 200 because we never actually retested 198 to 200 weekly breakout, and that can really happen here on Apple stock. So watch out for that. To the upside, it needs to get over 220. Over 220, you'll see a move up to 224.44, and over that, watch out for a move up to even 230, and then this gap 232. Also keep that in mind, we do have earnings coming out next week from Apple, so that's going to be a big week next week. A lot of these big names reporting earnings, and there's going to be lots of volatility here in this market for that. On Nvidia, stock is down 1.72%, so it's so difficult to trade Nvidia stock. You guys saw that play on MU. My calls pretty much going in the money. I mean, that thing, we actually got absolute bottom on MU, talking about early in the morning. And then that thing exploded. I mean, if I was holding till 110, it was, I think, over 200%. Now, Nvidia, this thing actually paid. I got over 300% on Nvidia play because third time was the lucky charm. This thing, actually I caught the dip this morning at near 111. This thing jumped up to almost 113. I put a stop loss, came back, got stopped out, no loss. Second time I got under 110, went back up to 111. And you will see it on shorter time frame how this thing was going back and forth. Again, got stopped out for break even. I did call that out for my Patreon group that put a stop at a break even, and then I got stopped out. Third time, I did not even call this out. And I think I got pretty much right here near the support at 107, dipped slightly under 107. And the calls I got, I mean, exploded. I mean, this thing from 106 got up to almost 115, 116. That was a big move, and still trading at 112. So you can see, I mean, that is still a huge move. And I wish that was a big position. It was not. It was only like 1600, and that actually got up to like almost 6-7 grand. So that was huge. And if I was buying big, maybe putting in like 10, 20,000, that could have been a massive money maker. Now, also, I had puts, and I've been buying puts for the last maybe few weeks when this thing was trading right up here. I think I started here at 130, and then I added more and more as this thing was going up. Now these are not going to expire anytime soon. It was up 50% today, took profit on that. So this thing paid right and left both ways. Puts paid. I actually took profit pretty much near these lows down here because that is a critical support. I mean, this thing is down quite a bit. So, I mean, who does not like 50% profit on something like this? And you know that people that are buying Nvidia puts, nobody got paid before. So if you're getting paid, you're gonna take that money, right? So I took it. Still have some runners, and there might be more downside, but most of that position I closed. Even my calls from today completely closed. Those are tomorrow expiration, and that is why got big payment on Nvidia. Now you can see how well this actually played out. We've been talking about it for weeks that do not count Nvidia out. As long as the support can hold 118, don't short it right here. This thing breaks under 118, we try to go right back up. What happens? Well, it didn't even try to go back up to 118 exactly. I mean, look at this move. Came down, went back up to, I think right here, it was at 116. It did go up to 116. Huge rejection. Came back and now again down for the day. Now, this is also critical. Shorting right here. It's been selling off for multi-days. Yes, Nvidia is still up year to date. Massive amount. We can definitely make a move down to this gap right here around 96. But this is not the time to short. I would look to buy the dip if this thing pulls back even harder. Or even right here, get a small position and slowly build a position instead of shorting Nvidia right here. We already got a decent pullback from 140, 141 down to 106 today. So that is a decent pullback. We might get some more pullback, maybe down here. It's not too far away at 96, and that's gonna be an absolute dip buy on Nvidia stock, especially people that are chasing up here. And now you got it at 106, and you're not buying, you're shorting right here. That's really bad, because these dips you're getting in the market, that is an opportunity. When there are no dips, guess what? We go and chase stuff, right? And that is really a risky game to play with a stock like Nvidia, chasing at 140. As a matter of fact, someone was telling me before, when this thing was trading over 130, that it's going up to 200. Well, 200 never came, but looks like we're going down to 100, right? So technicals, they don't lie. It might take some time. And I did talk about it over and over in my video. Couple times in my video, I showed you guys that monthly time frame, weekly, not even talking about daily, extremely overbought. Things can pull back. And this is exactly what we're getting. Not only Nvidia, Nasdaq 100. So Nvidia pulls back, guess what? We saw a big pullback on Nasdaq 100. I mean, from 503 on triple Q down to what? Big dip, right? Just a matter of 1 week. Not even 1 week. It started last week and continuing this week. So just about in a week. And now we got a decent correction here in this market. So going into tomorrow's session, guys, Nvidia critical support 107. And if that gives up, we might make a move down to these highs right here. And that's going to be 97 to 98. And then this gap at 96. We get a bounce. And definitely there will be a bounce. Some sort of a move back up to the upside, counter trend rally, possibly going up to 118. So this is where you need to see if this thing can break or gets a rejection. If this thing gets a rejection, then definitely this is going to be a lower high, and then we might be looking for a new low, and that could be down here 96 to 98 bucks on Nvidia stock. Let me know how you're trading, your thoughts down below in the comment section, and I'll definitely keep you guys updated.